Happy Halloween. I don't know why I love this holiday. It's probably because when I was a kid, we actually went trick-or-treating door to door in our neighborhood and never had an issue. I guess that is lost to history. It's too bad. Well, for tonight's Haunted Hospital special, I have one that's really stuck with me. Now, typically in the ER, it's about blood, broken bones, and bad decisions. Other nights, it's something else entirely. Every nurse has had this type of patient who says they see things. Usually it's drugs, a psychological emergency, and sometimes it's detox. But one night, a patient came in saying she was seeing someone, actually multiple people, and everything about her story lined up with things she couldn't possibly have known. It was a decently normal night. We were busy at the beginning of the night, and it seemed the town took the nothing good happened after 2 a.m. advice, and so we only had a few patients in the ER. That got ruined pretty quickly. An EMS crew from a bordering town patched for some inbound traffic. This is Rescue 13. We have a female in her 60s complaining about seeing things in her home for the past few weeks. Tonight, it's getting worse. She and her family want to be evaluated. All vitals are stable, no chief complaints other than that. Not looking for any further orders. We'll see in about an hour. Well, this is about to get interesting. I tell the doc after I hang up the patch. An hour goes by. EMS rolls in. Patient has no trauma. Vitals were stable. The only thing is her eyes are wide with panic. She kept repeating one phrase under her breath.
He followed me here. He followed me here. He followed me here.
EMS found her sitting outside her home, barefoot, clutching a Bible. She said she was seeing people in her home, shadows moving, whispering her name. Her family said that it's been going on for a few weeks. One even said it's been going on for a few months. And so, we ended up doing a full workup. And typically in these situations, when we do a full workup, we'll check her urine. She is older, which we find that a UTI can cause some of the symptoms she's having. As well, we'll check to make sure there's no drugs, as well as make sure that she's got no electrolyte imbalance. Just err on the side of caution before we call in for a psychological evaluation and consultation. So I walked in to get those. And as I did, she grabbed my wrist with both of her hands. I could feel her skin. It was so cold. Her hands were clammy. She must have been grasping that Bible with all of her strength, not letting it go. And then she looked me dead in the eyes and said,
You can see them too, can't you?
She asked. I smiled, kept my tone calm, tried to avoid the conversation and not feed into the delusion. No one's here, man, but me. It's just me and you. No one else. She frowned, eyes darting to the corner of the room. I could tell that I had just immediately lost her trust. She then says, and points to the corner that she's been looking at.
Then who's standing over there?
I turned. Nothing but empty space. Just a corner, well lit. No chair, no nothing. Just empty. She then whispers,
He's been in my house. He follows me everywhere. He even made the little girl come with him.
I didn't answer. I just smiled and tried to finish getting the IV and draw some blood for her. Psychosis, I thought. Grief. Trauma. Maybe a UTI. Who knows? But what she said next, this part, I froze.
There's another man. He is standing outside the door. He tells me he died here. There are many people here, all around us, and also standing in the doorway. Also, there is a woman behind you. She is hugging you. She tells me she checks in on you from time to time.
I just thought, great, there's a bunch of people here. But then she talked about the person hugging me, this young woman. And she started to describe her. And it happened to be a friend of mine. At least I thought so. She described her pretty well, almost to a T. The tattoo on her arm. And that's when I was really freaked out. First, nobody in this location, in this ER, have ever talked about this person before. And there was no way this rando from out in the middle of nowhere knew who this was. I tried to just chalk it up to an absolute incredible coincidence. And I just kept doing my job. But I was very hesitant continuing to be in that room. As soon as I finished up collecting all of the specimens for her, it definitely took a minute. But you can hear her in there, gasping, almost like she's being startled. And I would kind of begin just to make sure she was okay. And she'd be covering her eyes and then opening them, like playing peekaboo with a child. But she was terrified. She almost started crying. She would grasp her Bible, and then she would begin to, what I assume, was pray. But there was still nothing in that room. Now, with all of this development, rightfully so, we got a CT scan of her head, and it was time. We took her in the gurney, started walking to radiology, when she points to a picture on the wall. And this picture is of a man, recently deceased doc, that happened to die in the ER. And she pointed and said,
That's him. The man in the photo. That is the man that said he died here.
I looked at the radiologist. Neither him nor I have known that guy at all. That doctor, we didn't know him at all. But she sure did. And again, I know what you're thinking. Happenstance, or just pointed at the picture of the one individual that actually died here that is now on display. But it was definitely unnerving. And I never moved so quickly to get her out of there. CT finished up. Had about an hour before all the results came in. So I tried to avoid that room. I tried to just sit at my desk and chart, watch all my other patients. But she just kept calling me in. She was terrified, didn't want to be alone. And I was hesitant to continue to stay in there. I'd hate to find out if another relative is suddenly sitting next to me. But unfortunately, because of the situation, I was in there. I wanted to avoid trying to play into the delusion that she is having, but she's making a very convincing argument. So I sit with her, and I ask her to start describing some of these people that she's seeing other than the two that are all already here, the ones that were at her home. She told me that the little girl was a Native American girl, and she was there for a long time before she got there, and she felt lonely, so she hung out with the woman. But the man seemed more menacing. Tall, lanky, gray hair down to his shoulders, wore a black cap, had, she said, firearms on his hips, notes. She said he wasn't very nice. He continued to scare her, trying to get her out of her home. This man has been coming around more since her family remodeled their home. And like any scary story, that's how it starts. Now again, my rational brain, the scientific brain that allows me to work in healthcare, tries to chalk it up to whatever I can grasp at. Hoping it's a UTI, maybe it's something that our brain scan will show. But that's when the results came back. Nothing. Not a thing. So, I guess there's only one thing left, and it had to be something more psychological. At least, for my sake, I hoped. So we put in the consult. We would have a psychologist come and evaluate her, and then we would find out what the next steps were. But it was early in the morning at this time, and they wouldn't come for about an hour and a half. And luckily I was going home in 2, so I just counted the minutes. Luckily for me, she fell asleep, and that gave me a reprieve until hopefully I leave or the psych consult comes in. But I was sorely mistaken. Not 20 minutes later, she woke up screaming, yelling that this man was trying to choke her. She continued to fight, even when we came to her side and tried to help her. Now, you could see that she was definitely in distress. Her heart rate was in the 140s, and her breathing was about 40 breaths per minute. It's not great. Your normal heart rate should be 80, and your normal breathing rate should be 16 to 20. So she was definitely amped up in the chaos. I definitely took a good left hook, and that's when the doc said that it's time to see if we can help her calm down. Now, with that, we gave her just a little bit of some medical sedation, just enough for her to calm down. But as she drifted off, she looked at me and said, "The man's coming for you next." As she started to drift off to sleep, I felt bad. She didn't need this, but hopefully maybe she can get some sleep. Hopefully it's just something like psychosis. And she just happened to see that photo before she came in and connected the dots. Our brains can do amazing things. The woman slept for the rest of my shift. No outbursts, no freakouts, no screaming. Her vitals all stayed normal. Nothing out of the normal. And it was quiet. I finished up my shift, gave a report to the oncoming nurse. Probably didn't believe the story that I happened to tell, and luckily I left out some details. Otherwise everyone would think I'd be crazy. But I did check on her one last time. I peeked in. The room was now dark. All the lights were turned off. That's what we do for these type of situations. Try to reduce as much stimulus as we can. But as I turned to leave, I saw in the corner a 4.5 foot shadow standing there, darker than the rest of the other darkness. I quickly turned back around, but nothing was there. Her heart rate increased by 15 beats per minute, and then went back down. And I left. I never found out what happened to that woman. Her I kind of didn't want to know. But I'm sure she ended up getting placed into an inpatient psych facility to kind of help her out. But that one night definitely made me think that some of these things that these patients tell me that they see, maybe we're the crazy ones. And they're the ones telling the truth. Hospitals hold so many memories. People, moments, entire lives that start and may end inside those walls. Sometimes I think those memories don't stay memories. Sometimes they find their way back. And if you ever see someone staring at a wall, whispering, he's standing right behind you, maybe don't turn around. I know I won't. You just survived another night inside the haunted hospital. If you want to help me stop taking shifts and working in places like this, where the living and the dead share a common space, hit that like, subscribe, or that follow button wherever you're listening. Because therapy isn't free, and neither is holy water. Happy Halloween. You've been discharged. Have a good one.